Welcome back to Positive Life. Today we're going to discuss betrayal. Have you ever had anyone betray you? Whether it's like a small betrayal or something that was really big. Big could be that they loaned you money, a lot of money, and they never paid you back, or they were a bad roommate, or they took your companion. Like these really big betrayals that you connect to the past, and that you feel that you can't trust this person again, and that you think that everyone will be like that person. You support people, you do a lot of things for them, that you take interest in their dreams, and that you care about them, and that you invest time, energy, and effort into really good friends, close friends, and one day they just flip the script on you and they make you look like that you're an evil person, a person that did not care about them, and that you are talking crap about them, and that you're judging them, and that you're overstepping their boundaries. And it's really unfair that they would do those things to you when you've always been there for them, and that you care about what happens to them. And it's unfortunate that some people will do that they'll be nice to you when they need something, and then when they don't get their way, or they disagree with something, that they would disappear and do silent treatment and make you feel really small, like belittle you when you care about them, and they know that what they're doing is hurting you. It's punishing you for something that they were taught by someone else, whether that person was controlling them, manipulating them, using these emotional techniques to harm them, so then they defer to you. And because they do that to you, then you feel that you feel less value. And if you don't have a lot of value, then you start to suffer from the silent treatment. And it's a form of betrayal, because they keep doing it to you. And you may tell them that this is you're doing silent treatment, you're ignoring me, and that you're doing these things, and it's kind of hurtful, and they know that, and then they still do it again, and they never stop. And then one day you realize that you deserve better, that you've been put through this horrible situation, and it becomes a pattern, and you don't want it to go on because it's abuse. And then you just say, you know what, I'm not doing this no more. But you try to give them, multiple chances, and then for them to save face, they get rid of you. And that's the worst betrayal, because you were always there for them, to support them, to believe in them, to care about them, to believe in their dreams, to believe in their personal growth, and to do great things for them, because you saw a lot of potential in them. But they allowed the past to block them, to deny them a better life. We choose our friends wisely, and we try our best to always be there for them when they show up. They show up and they need something, and that we don't want to say no, and that we feel that we could help them. And they get skeptic on why we want to help them. They may say something like, don't hope for nothing that I can't give, or don't expect anything. And it really desensitizes what we want to do for them. It's almost like they feel that we want something in return because of people in the past that always wanted something in exchange for help, and that we want to do something different, and that we're not those people, that we are someone else, and that when someone has trust issues, that they will connect us to other people and compare us to other people, and that we struggle to gain their trust. And when we finally gain their trust and we get close enough that they're willing to share who they really are, that they may argue with you, they may say things, rude things, and they may really treat us bad because people have treated them bad in the past, and they don't trust anyone else. When they say they trust you, and then they start to punish you and treat you a certain way because they know that you're open and you're honest, and that they could talk to you a certain way because they know that you may want them, you may want a relationship with them, and it's almost like they're dangling that in front of you, telling you that it's almost like it's a privilege. They're giving you an opportunity to help them, but at the same time, you never get to talk about your life, barely, and that you don't have any power. And so in one instance, I would hear them say, a particular person would say that someone was violating their boundaries, that they were taking advantage of them, violating their space, that they had no breathing room, and that towards the end, when you would say something like an honest thing, you would say that you wanted to, you would say something about their effort, that if they showed more effort, and if they put in more time, more energy, and they didn't allow distractions or problems to block them, that they would achieve their dreams, and that they would accomplish more, because they were blaming someone else, particularly for denying them time, taking their energy, and that it was just always blaming someone. It was blaming, so say if they wanted to get into Hollywood, it was blaming everyone in Hollywood. It was producers, it was directors, it was agents, it was acting coaches, it was everyone. And that they did everything possible, and that they were going to choose a moral route to live their dream. And that their dream was so important to them, but they were getting frustrated and they were getting desperate, and that you could be the one to guide them to their dream, but they didn't trust you. They didn't trust you because of your track record of like, what have you done? So say if I'm a writer, that what is on my IMDb page is really no writing credits, but I have been a writer for a long time, and I have written professionally. However, they would judge your writing track record and assume that you didn't know what you're talking about, and that you couldn't share anything with them. It was okay if other people that financially sponsored them or had supported them, it's okay for them to give them feedback or give them tips or suggestions, but it was always like that you had to watch out what you were saying, that you had to be careful, you had to review audios, you had to review what you were writing, because you had to be extra careful, because they have lower self-esteem, their confidence is lower, and that they were vulnerable, and that if you said something, it would hurt them. It would hurt them, and they would get upset, and it was something minor. You weren't putting them down. You weren't judging the way that they look, and that you always were there for them and you were positive for them, but there was things that they were dealing with in the past, and that they would say, of course I would have trust issues because people in the past treated me terrible. And that was their answer, is like that they're gonna have trust issues because they got themselves into situations that were gonna lead to something that was not gonna pan out. That they put themselves in those positions to experience those problems, and that they're abnormal situations. They're not the normal things that we would deal with on a everyday. Like a normal person would not deal with the things that they put themselves in, because they want something so much that they're willing to live an immoral life. We don't have to be moral though, but it's like a personal choice. But when you connect someone that's living an immoral life with someone that's trying to live a moral life, and the person that's moral is trying to teach them to live an honest life because of the universe, karma, God, and that if you do the right thing, it may be harder. It's just like doing like say shady tricks. So say if you run a website and you do like these black hat tricks of buying traffic, and that getting subscribers or followers, that you're taking a different route, and that will create problems for you in the future because you're using techniques that are not say ethical. I mean, people try to, there's many people that live a moral life, that they're gonna do things the right way, and there are people that are going to take shortcuts, and if you take shortcuts, then it's going to create blocks in the future because you were doing things that were tricky, say sketchy, shady, and people all do it, but it's not the best way to do things. So say if you want to be an actor, that you choose to say sleep with producers, sleep with directors, with agents or something, like it's almost like selling out yourself, your value, disrespecting yourself, not loving yourself to do things, because if your dream is that important, then you will find other ways to do it. But if you start to enter a dark realm of finding ways to crack into the industry because other people have done it, then you will sacrifice your dignity and put yourself in a position to where if you get taken advantage of and exploited, then you feel that you don't get what you want, and people have taken advantage of you because you assume they could give you something, you expected it, that you will stop trusting people, and you assume that everyone in the future is going to do the same thing, that they did and countless other people have done, and that you start to only recognize your value. Your value is I'm pretty or I'm good looking, and that's all. That you have a hard time identifying what character traits are good and what are not good, and you refuse to change. You refuse to change because you're like, I'm not going to change for anyone. That you have these weaknesses, and that if you were able to confront your weaknesses, that you would do better in life. You would have a greater chance, because